just check and see if you can hear me okay here.
Yeah, of course I can hear you.
With my weird guitar.
Super cool, dude. Thought I heard some Hanger 18 coming in there for a second.
Oh, that, I can only play a little bit, though.
Yeah, exactly.
People will probably slap me.
Dude, that sounds amazing. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. You hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Mike's good. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. We can hear you.
Good.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm always glad to be here.
That's awesome. So guys, we're doing an acoustic guitar workshop for you. And thanks for being here. Please leave your comments in the old chat box. Tell us where you're from, what you want to learn, if you got any questions, all of that stuff. Steve, why don't we start with that interesting guitar you got there, man?
Sure. I bought this a while back. It's a Yamaha, and it's called a silent guitar. And basically, what I was looking for was I have a couple of really great acoustic guitars that I use for various things, but it's not always easy to record with them because, number one, when I do my recordings like what we're doing right now, I don't ever mic anything. Everything for me is run direct, other than my vocal mic, which is sitting up here. It's a shotgun mic. Everything I do guitar-wise is all run direct. That way I don't have to worry about noise interference and miking things. For my workflow, the easier everything is, the better. So when I sit down in my studio to record, I just want to turn things on and go. And with an acoustic guitar, sometimes what happens is that I get so much bleed through my shotgun mic that it just sounds, and I'm not saying that this is the perfect solution, it's just a solution that I'm working on. So with this guitar, I don't get any bleed through because there's no body. So what's happened is Yamaha emulated the sound, recorded and emulated the sound of both a body of an acoustic guitar and then the piezo pickup, I should say, and then a mic'd pickup or a mic'd sound. And so I've got a blend knob here that I can change the sound of either the body of the guitar or if I want it to sound a little more mic'd. And then I can add a little bit of reverb or delay or whatever it might be. So when I'm sending it to you, Dan, and everybody else that's watching right now, of course, YouTube compresses videos and audio anyway over the top of what we already do, right? But at least when I play, you're going to hear something that sounds a little bit closer to an actual acoustic sound without it getting picked up on my shotgun mic and getting all that kind of weird bleed through. Now, that doesn't mean I don't still use my Martin for recordings, because of course I do, because I love to play it. But you'll have to let me know. You out there, Dan, anybody, let me know what you think about the sound of it, because that's really my goal, is trying to find the best way of getting the sound out. I use Hughes and Kettner and Kemper stuff and all that for my electric stuff, and I've got that pretty dialed in. But acoustic is still kind of an anomaly for me.
Really?
Yeah, trying to find just the right tone, really getting it to come through on a video.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So that's essentially an electric guitar.
Yeah.
But it has because there's no body. I just noticed there's actually no wood. There's no top or anything. Yeah.
So, and these pop off, so you can actually, put it in a small case and travel wherever you want with it. So there's no resonance out here in my studio when I play to get picked up by anything else, other than obviously the sound of the strings, just like if you were playing an electric and you didn't have it plugged in, right? But from there, I can decide what kind of sound I want with the buttons on here, and then just send it direct into my video. And then I don't have to worry about trying to run, any plugins or anything like that, which is always a resource hog on my computer, because the other thing is I'm running multiple cameras, I'm running, various software to send out. So I have to, and again, I don't want to get long-winded here, so I'm trying to get the best of both worlds and still get a really nice acoustic sound. It looks weird. People go, wow, that's freaky. But it actually feels quite nice because it has a pick guard too. You know how a lot of us will, let me touch this over here. You know how we'll kind of grab on when we play, like some of us will? Like finger pick, or if you're, I can still brace my hand down and still do my normal things. So you don't even really notice that the body isn't there, unless of course you're trying to do body taps or something like that. That isn't going to work. So,
It's a very cool instrument, man.
yeah, it's interesting. And it wasn't very
Yeah.
expensive. I think it was like $600 or something like that. And I traded in a couple things and worked out a deal, and here we are.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
So, dude, thanks for sharing all that. We should probably tell people who the heck we are in case they don't know.
Oh, that might be good. Yeah.
We just assume like, oh, no, assume nothing. So I'm Dan Denley, founder of Guitar Zoom, and this is my good friend Steve Stine. And he probably needs no introduction, but he's our chief guitarist in residence at Guitar Zoom. And if you have not seen all of his stuff on YouTube, you probably should check that out. I think there's there's well over 1,000 videos across 3 different YouTube channels.
Yeah, we have a lot of them. I would
Yeah.
be willing to bet there's probably more than 1,500 videos at this point.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So guys, if you haven't subscribed to that, you'll definitely want to do that if you are a guitar fanatic like Steve and I. And you can check out Steve. You can Google Steve Stine. You can search on Steve Stine on YouTube. Steve Stine, his channel will pop up for you. You can subscribe there and make sure you hit the old notification button so you'll get notices when we do these live events. There's also the Guitar Zoom channel, which has a ton of videos. And we do our best to try to not duplicate videos across these channels. So there's a really good reason to be subscribed to both. Although on these live streams, they do go out to both, I believe.
That's right. The regular videos don't, though. Those are all different, but...
Yep. And also there's the Guitar Songs channel. So if you want to check that out, that's all about just learning how to play, just kind of chug through some basic songs. Mm-hmm. So we're doing this series here called the Acoustic Guitar Workshop for you guys. And so if you're interested in guitar or acoustic guitar, you should definitely check this out, subscribe, and keep watching. Let us know if you have any comments, questions in the old chat box or the comments, wherever you happen to be watching this. And if you would like to learn to do a deep dive into acoustic guitar, you might want to check out Steve's acoustic guitar course. It's called Acoustic Guitar by Steve Stine. And it's available. I love how we come up with these amazing names.
Yeah, no kidding. It's
available at guitarzoom.com, guys. All right. So today, thanks for walking us through your guitar, man. That thing is super cool. I've never seen anything like that, actually.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is not a sponsored video. So if you guys are into Yamaha, go buy one. We make no money off of that.
I just find whatever seems like it's going to do the job, and that's what I use. So
yeah. So we were talking before we kind of got started here. The first thing we're going to talk about today, guys, is dynamics, which is essentially playing loud, playing soft, your attack, whether it's aggressive or whether it's kind of a soft attack, the type of pick you're using, the thickness of that pick, how much you're digging into strings or not. So that's kind of the topic for today, guys, is dynamics. And acoustic guitar really lends itself to being able to do that because obviously it's an acoustic instrument. So Steve, I'll let you take it from there, buddy.
Yeah, basically, it's not like this is a really complex discussion we're going to have today, and we're going to keep it fairly short so we don't bore you to death. But the most important thing is understanding that any instrument in the guitar world, certainly acoustic versus electric, has so much capability of being dynamic. Now, don't get me wrong, electric certainly can too. But the thing about acoustic is that you can go from just bare minimum. You just have a wide variety of sound there, and sometimes we forget about that because we're on a certain path in our brain. We're working on a strumming pattern or working on a chord progression or whatever it might be, and we forget about dynamics. And what I've always talked to people about when it comes to dynamics is think about watching the ocean. If you've ever seen the ocean before, it's very mesmerizing. Like if you just sit and watch, because it's unpredictable. Like sometimes the waves are big and sometimes they're small and sometimes they're fast and sometimes they're little, and it's just kind of at the mercy of the universe, right? So we can't sit and predict that kind of thing. And the nice thing about dynamics is when you play dynamically, and that has to mean something to you. There's no, certain pattern that you can use. it's more engaging to a listener because it's more interesting. It sounds more human. Like when I talk, right? When I talk, naturally, I'm going to talk with different elements of dynamic, right? Sometimes I'm going to talk a lot. Sometimes I'm going to talk a little, loud, soft, that sort of thing. And so when you're playing, like if we just take a look at some chords, like let's just say I was going from A minor, right? And I'm thinking about like I'm going to move to a G in my chord progression here. So I'm thinking about moving from here right? So a dynamic, what I'm thinking about is trying to play loud and soft, but then I'm also trying to think dynamics to me also means space. Like dynamics is just anything that's kind of opposing sides, really. So as I'm playing, I'm thinking about trying to leave space too. So I'm not just going. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what the song is supposed to do to drive the song, that's perfectly fine. But if every song sounded like that, it might get a little monotonous after a while. Or if you were performing by yourself, that's the other great thing about acoustic guitar is there's just so many amazing players out there that do solo acoustic performances. And when you watch them and you listen to them, you're going to notice that they use a lot of this, what I'm talking about, dynamics, in their playing, right? So if I do that again, and again, I'm not trying to bore you, but if I go back and forth between A minor, especially if I'm building somewhere, let's say I'm building, you see, there's just so many really cool things that you can do. And for me, when you enter that kind of state of mind where you're really thinking about how things sound and how they feel, now you're not really, in the space of how fast you can play or how many scales you know or how much theory you know. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that stuff. It's all important. I'm just saying this is a place that oftentimes we find ourselves lacking in when we play because we're so busy building blocks in our head because we're humans, right? So we're always trying to, escalate all these different things and elevate these things in our mind and our ability. And I think that's wonderful. But come back here sometimes and really start thinking about playing dynamically, even if it's electric. It doesn't matter what it is. Now, again, if I'm playing a Slayer tune, which, yes, I do play, it's not going to be as dynamic. That's not the point of it. Or the dynamics certainly aren't coming from the guitar. It might be coming from the drums or the singer or whatever. But we're focusing on acoustic guitar, right now. And that's the beauty. That's the number one thing for me that I love about acoustic guitar is that I have so much more of a spectrum of dynamics than I do when I'm playing electric.
Super cool. Guys, if you're just now joining us, we're in the middle of our acoustic guitar workshop. Steve's walking us through dynamics in this particular video, playing loud and soft, your different attack. I want to ask you a question about that, Steve.
Sure.
Guys, if you're into this, you might want to check out Steve's acoustic guitar course at guitar-zoom.com. It's titled Acoustic Guitar by Steve Stine. And if you want to learn that, there's lots of videos. It's a super deep dive into everything acoustic, and it starts at the beginning, and it goes through holding your guitar and picking and strumming patterns and chords and bar chords and open string patterns and finger picking. It's like an all-inclusive thing. It's called Acoustic Guitar, and it's available at guitar-zoom.com. So here's a question I have for you. What are you thinking when you're going through, when you're just walking us through that those patterns of the A minor and the G, like what's your mindset? Are you targeting specific strings? Because it seems like you were hitting like some low notes and then some high notes, but you weren't like strumming every string all the way down. You were doing downstrokes and upstrokes.
You know,
Is
I
there a
don't
certain thing you're kind of going
know.
for?
I think once you've been playing for a long time, you don't really think a lot about those things anymore. I might think like more or less, right? So as I'm strumming, you know, if I'm playing A minor and I'm again, there's always an element of dynamic, just understanding that. So this question is a bit more of like what would I be thinking about when I'm playing? As I get more aggressive, I'm going to play more because I can fatten up the sound by playing more strings, obviously. And when I'm getting more quiet, I might consider playing less strings or single strings. You see? So, you know, we've got a couple more discussions we're going to be doing about different things too. But when I'm picking, whether it's finger picking or flat picking, you know, I've been doing this for so long that I don't really think about the patterns necessarily, and it doesn't always work out. I mean, there are times I'm playing that what my brain is sending to my fingers isn't exactly what I probably wanted, but that's the way it goes.
Right.
But when I'm playing, like there's just certain kinds of picking patterns that I'm accustomed to playing when I'm playing stuff. So I would use some of those kind of picking things in contrast, again, a dynamic kind of contrast, if you will, to the strumming. Right now it's got a little different feel because now I'm more conscious about playing some picking things along with it, right? And again, that's where the sort of complexity thing in your brain starts is, well, how complex can I make my picking and my strumming at the same time? Or sometimes you just want simple. Like there are times that I do performances with my daughter, she'll sing and I'll play. And I've, you know, or when you perform with people, you know, as a career, you learn that there are times you want to be up front, you want to be the spotlight, and there are times that you want to move back and not be the spotlight. So when I do my performances with her, my job is to try and make sure I'm as far back as possible because I'm already kind of a type A person that people know. So my job is to not step on her toes. She's a wonderful singer and she's got her own presence. So a lot of times when I'm playing songs, I very much am in the mindset of less is more because I'm trying to give her space. Unless I'm driving a certain part of that song or I need to lead her somewhere in that song, then I might kind of take the reins a little bit and play a little bit more or a little more aggressively to lead her where she needs to go. Little trick, oftentimes when we're playing, if I'm in kind of an instrumental section and her part is coming up, I don't want her to have to count all these measures in between. I want her to feel like a drummer does. I want her to feel when to come back. So I might be playing and I go, and that sets her up and she goes, oh, okay, here we go. Because she knows I'll do that. Just like a drummer, a really good drummer will always give you a certain fill that says, here we go, here we come back. So you don't have to sit and count all the time. You can just kind of trust the people that you're performing with.
Yeah. I think that's one of the great things about music is that it's almost hard to describe how you know certain things. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, a lot of it is intuition. And that's why, again, I always encourage people to, you know, it's okay if the rest of your life is spent just practicing by yourself and playing along with jam tracks or, you know, Spotify or whatever. That's perfectly fine. But there's something really wonderful about being able to do jams with other human beings. You know, it's not like my life started off doing great gigs with great players. You know, usually it's a garage with like I remember being like 16 and I grew up in a trailer court and this drummer who had to have been 10 years older than me, at somewhere around there, lived in the trailer court as well. He would bring his drum kit over on Sundays. And it was just me and him, and it was just loud, and you couldn't hear anything, and it was a mess. And the cops would sometimes show up because it was so loud, because we lived in a trailer house. And it was just chaos, but it was fun. It was absolutely a blast, and it set me up as the precursor for getting together with other musicians and then learning how, well, you don't just have to be loud. Like, yes, loud is fun, but sometimes you have to have sort of you can hear a singer and you can hear a drummer, and all these things happen along the way.
Yeah. I would highly encourage people to get involved with other folks and play, because you're going to learn so much just by picking up tips and tricks and stuff from people who are in different areas of their, different paths and different journeys in their guitar playing.
Well, and that brings up another thing too. Acoustic guitar, that's what's so great about acoustic guitar, is you grab your guitar and you go. Like, I have lots of students out there in the world that they send me photos of them jamming. Like, they'll get together on a Sunday and 3 guitar players or 4 guitar players will get together in somebody's living room and they're all playing together. And, it's not just a contest. Like, it's just learning how to play along with people, learning how to anticipate chord changes. And like the strumming thing I'm talking about right now, like, you listen to people and you respond. Because it's not like you're all strumming exactly the same strumming patterns. That's another misconception, is oftentimes you're just given a tempo. And now, once the main musician for that particular song starts playing, because that person might lead the song, that's another thing, is when you're playing with other musicians, you don't always know who's going to lead. Like, sometimes the drummer leads, sometimes the singer leads. Sometimes a song might have 4 different leaders within it, because different parts require different people. And when I say leader, I don't mean the most important person. I mean the person that everybody's kind of following at that moment. And acoustic is great for that, because somebody might start playing and you're listening and you go, oh, okay, so I don't need to step on that person's toes. I need to add something. What's missing from there that I can add in? And maybe it's just a subtle little, they're already playing A minor, so I don't want to play that. I want to look for something else. So I might look for a different kind of sound maybe that I want to add into that. Right? So I'm looking for something else. And I just add in something subtle while they're going. And I go. Right? Or whatever it might be. I mean, again, that might be a weird voicing for you, but I'm just saying, you just find different things and you go, okay, so now we've got layers going on. It's not a contest. It's actually just adding elements that all make something more cohesive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say, guys, if you're like, well, wait a minute, how did he know how to play that chord? Because he knows his chords and he knows his theory, and he knows that if you're playing an A minor, there's only certain chords.
All these things, for sure.
It does. Which is the whole reason that Steve created Acoustic Guitar, the course for you. So if you want to learn like all of this stuff, deep dive, you can check out the course at GuitarZoom. So Steve, I'm curious, when you're like, I was listening to you play, you're picking some things, you're strumming some things, you are playing loud, you're playing soft, aggressively, not so aggressively, and you're not really cognitively thinking about, I need to do this picking pattern on these strings at that time. Like, how did you get to the point where you could have so much freedom? Like, what are the steps? If someone's watching this, like,
well, it's just,
how do they get to that? If that's their destination, if they want to be able to do that.
It's all about comfort. Like, everything is about comfort, just like anything else in life. It doesn't matter if you're a wonderful cook. It's my wife and I last night, somebody was grilling outside and it smelled amazing. I can't grill to save my life, but so everything's about building a comfort zone, regardless of what it is that you want to learn how to do, and that comfort comes from practice, from immense amount of practice, but then also application. Like, it can't just be practice. Like, performance, and when I say performance, I don't just mean in front of an audience getting paid. I mean, it could be anything, jamming with other people, but some sort of human interaction is really, for me, the second step of that practice, is putting things into application. So when you learn how to do something on the guitar, whether you learn like, I've learned a trillion songs, and so there's just so many different little scraps of things that I've learned from different songs, and obviously not just songs, lessons and all, just all kinds of different things. But you try and pick out the things that you think are most interesting and kind of pertinent to who you are and the way you play. The problem with guitar playing is it's so easy to get off track constantly because you're like, I want to do that and I want to do that. It's like a 5-year-old going, I want to be a spaceman, but I want to be a veterinarian and all this stuff. And I do it too. I'm almost 50 years old and I still do that. But I've got more ability to rein myself back and go, wait. Okay, really think of who you are and what you can do instead of reinventing yourself every single day, and then you wind up with nothing. It's like a gardener who tills every day. So you plant seeds, and then the next day you go out and till it again, and then the next day you plant seeds, and then you till it again. Nothing's ever going to grow. So the trick is trying to find little things that you listen to or you hear or you see, and you go, wow, that's really cool. I think that's something that I could use in my playing. And you're
looking for inspiration.
Yeah, and you add that thing, and you don't only just practice it, you apply it. So if you learn a new chord sound, right, whatever it might be, like I remember the first time learning how to play an F chord that sounded like this. So I could go from my A minor, then go like this. Okay, that made sense. Like just playing F like this, it's not like I could play F like that in any situation. But moving from the A minor to the F, man, that sounded cool and it felt cool. And it was just something that I knew I could use. And I was like, oh, okay, well, what if I went from A minor? Because now I'm keeping that A minor kind of shape. You see what I mean? And you just explore it. Now, again, I play a lot of metal and all kinds of different things, but that doesn't mean I don't enjoy this kind of thing, because this is just a very raw musical situation where it's just me. It isn't drums and bass and all these things. It's just me kind of thinking about how it sounds and how it feels when I play it.
Mm. Man, that is such a beautiful little chord progression that you had there. And to me, it's just like the most simple thing, like 3 chords. You could just play that and like write an entire song based on those 3 chords.
Well, think about it. Like, and again, we're going to be doing something on creative chords coming up here in our workshop. But, I always think about like, like Led Zeppelin-y sounds, or Needle and the Damage Done-ish kind of things, like with those moving bass lines and stuff. I've always just loved the sound of those. So I love to add that stuff in my playing.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Guys, as you can tell, this instrument is super simple to play, or as complicated as you would like to make it. And you don't have to be a super musician to have a lot of fun on your guitar. But I will say this, the better you are, the more fun it is to play.
That's right. And the more you retain that information, stop trying to compete with everybody else on the planet and just figure out what works best for you, and keep building that garden, you know what I mean, so to speak. It's not trying to have that's just the hardest thing about guitars. There's just so many different places you can go. So Dan's absolutely right. You got to find what works best for you, not just what your neighbor thinks you should be doing with your guitar, but what you think you should be doing on your journey.
Yeah. One thing I'm really I think that's worth mentioning about the acoustic guitar course that Steve's created for you is, unlike a lot of the other courses that Steve has available, this is not something that you need to start at the beginning and go all the way through, like in a systematic way. Like music theory, like the music theory masterclass, for example, that's one that would probably be a good idea to start at the beginning and go straight through that thing. You don't have to, but the acoustic course is something that you could be like, oh, I just want to learn finger picking. Let me jump to that section. I just want to learn like these open chords that he was playing. I want to learn these strumming patterns, and you can just jump right to that, and you can bounce back to the other stuff if you want. And so to me, that's a really fun way to learn, because you have access to everything, the entire course, and you can just jump to the thing you're most interested in, and don't worry about slogging through video after video after video. Just go to the thing that you're most interested in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
Cool. So where do we go from here, my friend?
Oh, I think that's enough for today. That's enough to talk about dynamics, and obviously some other things that we talked about too. Just again, giving somebody, giving anybody who's viewing this another perspective on how to think about your playing, your place in music, why you're playing guitar in the first place, and yeah, I think that's enough.
Awesome, dude. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank all of you for being here. Thank you for your comments, your chat. Do appreciate you, Steve and I. We're amazed when anybody shows up and watches anything that we have to say. We're just trying to help folks here. So, hey guys, if you enjoyed this, make sure you subscribe and you click the old notification button. And if you know someone that could possibly benefit from this, you could share it with them. That would be pretty cool. If you're interested in continuing with us on this acoustic guitar workshop, make sure that you get subscribed and notified so we can announce to you when the next live session is going to happen. We're recording these for you right now. They'll be available for you on the YouTube channels. And if you are interested in going deep dive into acoustic, you may want to check out Acoustic Guitar, new course by Steve Stine, available at guitar-zoom.com. Steve, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks for being here. I'm looking forward to the next session.